Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I am 5 minutes late tonight. And you know what? Y'all just gonna have to forgive me. I do apologize though. So it's not like one of those, where you have to forgive somebody that didn't necessarily apologize. Just saying. So I am apologetic. I do apologize. Y'all forgive me. But let's get on past that, right? We passed that. Y'all already forgave me, or y'all need a second. I'm gonna give you a second. All right, we're over it. Welcome back. Welcome to another week of the B Mix. You already know what it is right here on BExposedRadio.com. Woo, woo. Okay. Y'all know. Y'all should be saying it with me by now. Y'all know. B Mix. You know what it is. It's right here for the unseen, the unheard, the forgotten, the person that thought that they were going to mute themselves, like me. And here I am unmuting myself. So come on in with me, right? So, how's everybody's week? Let's do a little temperature check. Anybody having a little rough week, rough month, rough couple of months, rough year? Same thing. Rough decade, rough life. I don't know. Y'all let me know, right? We're gonna jump straight into this today because y'all know right here on the B Mix Show, all authentic, organic, and raw material. So we're just gonna talk about what's going on. Let's talk about our stuff. My stuff, baby. I got some stuff to say today. Okay, don't I always have something to say? I know, but I love that. So a lot of us, and I'll just say us as in however you define it tonight, us as in people, us as in Black people, us as in millennials, us as in, I don't know, Christians, I don't know, believers, whoever, however you define us, is us. Okay, so meaning it's a lot of us, right? Because if each person listening and watching on here tonight can define and identify whatever group they so choose, then that's a lot of folk, right? That share the same similarity. A lot of us, we say, because we're gonna have to work toward getting out of, what we say and all these trends that we say versus what we mean. But we say that we're afraid of failure. I'm afraid to fail. So afraid. I don't want to fail. I can't fail. I don't need to fail. And I'm not poking fun. Like, I'm mocking a little, but truthfully, again, I'm talking about myself. Y'all know everything I talk about on the show is for me, right? I keep telling y'all that. The B Mix is for Benia. Like, I'm just appreciative of the fact that y'all hop on here and y'all, rock with me for about an hour and a half or so. But baby, it's for old Marty Mo. Like, it's for your dog. It's for your boy right here, okay? So I have said it a million times. I used to have so many fears. Like, let's talk about our fears. So, and all different types, right? I'm not looking to hear one over the other. So there's the fear of heights out here. There's the fear of, come on, help me out here. Fear of heights, the fear of, some people are afraid of loud noise, not just the people that don't like it, but actually afraid of it. Of course, that can trigger certain things, especially I guess depending on the noises. Can trigger different things. Like when we talk about, y'all were what? Just talking about all these fireworks and firecrackers and all that going off. I didn't see many. All I saw was a lot of posts talking about and complaining about the fireworks. I didn't really see y'all talking about and like, I don't know, having some sympathy and empathy for those that it might have triggered like PTSD or things like that. Y'all didn't mention that. Y'all was just out here talking about how y'all hated to hear the fireworks. That was crazy. Y'all didn't have to do them like that. Now y'all done shut them down, or maybe they ran out of supply. Whatever the case may be. But all these different types of fear, right? Just fear of the water, fear of everything. There are people out here that are afraid of just about everything. And I was one of those people. I had so many fears. It actually baffles me that as of right now that I can't run down the long list of fears that I used to have. Like, yeah, and absolutely at the very top of my fears list, or my list of fears, was failure. My absolute number one fear was failure. But let me enlighten you. Before I enlighten you, actually, let me talk about my fear of failure. So I distinctly remember I used to work for city schools, and so I was as a student, right, while I was still in school, that I was a part of SGA and all that. Shout out to SGA. And then there was the citywide SGA, as well as there's a statewide, there's a national, all of that. Yay. My roots, okay? I comes from it, baby. Okay, don't get that twisted. Oh, young B, okay, was in there. All right, don't get that mixed up. So, so we did this retreat, and there was, for my advisors then, shout out to them, shout out to Derek and Renata, whoop, whoop. Oh my gosh, and Demetrius, Miss Pat, oh my Lord, there's just a lot. There's a lot of people. And so, but there was an activity, or, you know, like activity, I guess, so to speak, because of course it wasn't a game. Definitely was not a game, which I'll tell you about it. So it was the fact that, and I love it though. I'm not gonna give like the detail of it, because I don't know, we can talk offline about the details of it, how you set it up, right? Because I just want to get to like the point of it, right? So long story short, you were supposed to write your fear, whatever you feared, right? And I guess it was like your number one fears. I think it was only one. I don't know if you wrote it on both sides, but I think just one. And so you write your fear on there. And I mean, baby, when I tell you they had this Fantasia song playing in the background, y'all already know Fantasia set the scene, okay? Y'all already know that. So I ain't got to really give y'all. I'm talking about snotting. Like, I'm snotting because here it is, my turn. Y'all don't know by now. Y'all don't get this twisted. I'm a thug. But I'm emotional and a crybaby. Whatever. The point is, I wrote on there failure. And when I tell you, baby, you had to sit it. I guess I'm telling the details now. So much for me keeping it to teach y'all later how to set up this activity, right? But a team building exercise. That's what I was looking for. That's the term I was looking for. So this team building exercise, but this was more so like individual, right? So I wrote failure on the block of wood, like piece of wood that you put on the cinder blocks. And you gotta hoi Kenji, like you gotta break it, you gotta get it. And I boo-hooed so hard, like just looking at my own writing, my own feeling, my own fear of failure, like was terrified. Like so many emotions arose in that moment that just, I believe with every crocodile tear that ran down my cheeks, baby, okay, right on down to my double chin, that is giving y'all. I mean, just getting that cameo today. Hi, Daddy, love you too. That y'all just getting double chin tonight, and it's over. Don't worry about it. Wait till I snatch it back though. The double chin, y'all can, this is how I test it. Look at that. Ooh, moving on. So shout out to my best friends that I get on, and my sisters that I get on the phone with and FaceTime and show them my double chin all the time. Like, I'm just saying. I was talking to my daddy, my actual father, by the way, y'all. Not. I was talking to my father, like my parent. Okay, whatever. I just want to make sure y'all made that clear, because I didn't want y'all to be, worried about anything. And so the fact that I couldn't, I just was so overwhelmed with feelings, so overwhelmed with emotions, because I had held and carried this fear of failure for so long. I'm trying to think of how old I was to say like how long I had carried this fear, but I was in high school, so well into my teens. We were still babies though, but I was so afraid of failure. I felt as though I needed it at that time in my life. I needed to be perfect. I needed everything to just appear and be perfect. And it wasn't. Y'all know what's funny though? All my life, still to date, I joke about it much less than I used to. But I literally would always say, like, I'm perfect. Like, I mean, because I am. Don't get it twisted. But we all know that, how they say, no one's perfect. I know no one's perfect but Christ. I get that, but I am made in his image. So holla at your girl. But that I just needed it so badly. And I realized as years have gone by now, I'm no longer in high school and well beyond those years. Don't worry about how much and how far along it. Whatever. I'm old. Don't worry about that. Y'all see me? 90s, baby. And I mean, like, actually 90, not 91, not 92. Y'all don't really count. Like, y'all, Y'all don't count. Like, y'all really like in Generation X. Like, if you're born in 91 and older, I don't care. They say like 95 and later. No. It's if you are not born, if you were not born in 90, you're not a 90s baby. Like, it's just, you don't get to rap it like we do. It's, we broke the whatever. I'll get into that later. We'll have like a 90s appreciation post show at some point. Don't worry about that, baby. I am ready. Okay. I got to get up and all. Okay. But that at that time, like I said, as a baby and so young though, that I carried and this fear, right? And so I realized over the years, now looking back in retrospect and just in reflection, self-reflection. Remember we talked about that last week, y'all? Remember that? I'm not taking notes. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But being in self-reflection, that I fueled that fear. I fueled it. I did that. Benia did that. I told myself that I needed to be perfect. And given, were there things that, impacted that feeling of, that need to be perfect? But, like as if, just I need to do well in school, of course, right? Or different experiences that say like, okay, baby, if you mess up, like, all bets are off, right? So I just, that's just what that is. What is that, y'all? This is my father again. So when I say daddy, it's my father. I don't know who Kadira is. I literally have a best friend named Kadia, so I'm sure that daddy, you're attempting to spell Kadia's name. She's gonna be mad. Aside all the other wrong letters, that you forgot the H. She loves the H in her name. And her mom, that I haven't forgotten about her, and her friends are on my list. LOL. Shout out to parents. Just shout out to them. They're just old. I'll be sure to pass the message along, Father. I will do that. Thank you all for who are tuning in. Don't forget that you can call in, of course. Feel free to comment, because if you are just joining us right now, that we are talking about fears. And so my fear of failure, again, I'm sorry, I said call in and I give y'all the number. I apologize. Let me chill out. 443-642-9403. Again, 443-642-9403. Again, thank you for tuning in. Feel free to share, like, and comment, but also feel free to call in and or text us at 443-642-9403. Did y'all like my voice right there? Y'all ain't like that? Okay, whatever. Y'all don't give me no credit. It's fine. But yeah, I had the fear of failure, right? So that was that. So as I'm talking about the fact that was, that was some time ago, does that mean that I have no fear right now? Of course, is when we talk about being a Christ believer, we are absolutely taught that God did not give us the, spirit of fear, but of love and of a sound mind. I think I quoted that correctly, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, baby. I am all about Christ Jesus. But honey, one thing I'm not good at doing is quote no Bible, baby. I'm telling you right now, I will mess it up every time. Hence why the name of my show had to be the B Mix. I'm always remixing a song, remixing a scripture. Forgive me, Lord, but He already knows. It's just news to y'all. But so I think I quoted that correctly. Any Bible scholars out there want to get me together, feel free. But so I get that, right? I get that. And so it doesn't mean that in my, I've embarked on my spiritual journey. It is still going on. Trust me, still there, still in progress. And so we're still in progress, and I'm making some progress, but I'm me. I'm human. And so the fact that now where I am, that my fear, so to speak, it really is the fact that I've realized that it's not just me. And I think that is my issue, that I have thought for so long that anything that I experience, it's just me. Like it's me. That's the worst case scenario. It's me. Oh Lord, stand in need of prayer, baby. Okay. I've literally only know song lyrics as to like when I incorporate them in conversation. Let me get to singing. I never know the words, but whatever. So I now have, and I'm being very transparent because that's the only way I know how to be. So that's how I want y'all to be as well, as you are commenting and calling in and texting, that there is a common fear of success out here. Let that resonate for a second. Success. A lot of us, and I don't even want to try to put this in a category or in a group. I would, if I were to choose just one group to zone in on, would be millennials. Us as, the millennials that I think we are right now, aside from even considering, the World Health Pandemic, World Health Crises, all of the social injustice, that we are like eyewitness to right now. Even outside of all of that, which is a lot and is very heavy, very traumatic. I will never water that down. Very traumatic, right? A lot of trauma that we are experiencing right now, in addition to any personal trauma that each of us, as individuals have experienced, whether similar or not. And so we for some reason had this, a lot of things to fight off, a lot of things ahead of us, a lot going on currently for us and with us. Yet, as we dream and as we, receive vision and provision, that there's a fear of success. There is a sense of hesitancy to, want to, not even want, it doesn't take away from the one. That's the one point that I actually want to make, is that it's not the fact that just because you fear it, it doesn't mean that you don't want it. It doesn't mean that you don't desire it, because I desire, a lot of great things for me. I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that I was somehow, some way, Lord Jesus, up there in heaven before they brought me on down here. They done went through all the things. They put me on, when I was on an item on the agenda for the staff meeting for that particular week or that day. It was like, okay, Benia's up next. It's about, I don't know what, I don't want to think about when I was conceived, but 9 months prior to March 1990, that I was, I was on that target list, and I was proclaimed to be the person designated to break generational curses. I've said this for so much, and that's on both sides of my family, mother and father's side. Anything that, needs to change in order for, my child, my future children to, to prosper. Right. And so I, just that alone, I mean, sit on that, like, just to be chosen, like the chosen one, like, it's you, baby, it's you. And so what does that mean though? And so if I was chosen, does it mean that my life was easy? Hell no. Like, no. H-E-L-L, no. H-E double hockey sticks, no. No. Heck no. L to the no, however you want to put it. No. Like, life was not easy whatsoever. And so the fact that it's something that you carry, right? And so back then, when I had this fear of failure, I wasn't aware of that. It wasn't clear to me that was not that it was my sole purpose, but that was a part of my purpose, a part of my divine purpose, right? So I don't know what it is that back then, beside just seeing, I guess, on the surface base, right, of what I had in front of me, what I was experiencing, that just I had something in me, and I'm sure it's just my spirit that would switch it and be like, you know what? I have to take all of this. I'm sitting right here with the heat of hell burning my ears. I still have to, drown that noise out and listen for, what it is that I need to do next, how I need to move, right? Okay, so comment, as far as fear, we all have them. The thing is not to let your fears control you from obtaining your goals and vision. That's good. Very true, actually. And that drives our point for tonight. So the fact that when we think of fear, that of course has a negative connotation, of course, to fear something. But I guess to fear something can also be good. I truly say nowadays that I'm afraid of no one but Christ Jesus. Like, that's it. Like, I'm just not like it. And it is, again, so funny to be able to sit in that place, knowing that I had all of these fears that I didn't necessarily share So, again, as we're talking tonight, I definitely want y'all, if you are willing, of course, I'm not going to pull your leg or anything or pull your arm, but I would love for you to share any fears. Let's just talk about fears that you used to have. And you can discuss them. Again, you can call in to 443-642-9403. You can also text 443-642-9403, or comment to let me know, and let's talk about any fears out here that that have existed. I don't want you to feel like that you have to share what you currently fear now, but I absolutely want you to know and to believe that this is a safe space. I am like, I can be nothing else but an open book. So I'm absolutely open to talk about it. Feel free to ask me any other fears that I have, right? So as I'm talking, if something triggers you to want to ask that, if it's putting me on the hot seat, that is trying to reflect and see if I have the fear that you want to discuss, that's fine. Let's talk about fears tonight, right? Because fears okay, beside the word fear, right? So after that comes what you're afraid of. So again, it can be heights. And so to you, that's something negative. It's something bad. It's something that scares. Yes, you did. You said something really good, Mr. Richardson. Yes, you did. um, that it can be it to you because you fear it. It can be something negative, and obviously have a negative connotation. Be perceived to be bad, right? This thing that's just not so good. But then when you think of the very thing that you fear, if you're able to, especially when we talk about any fear that you have worked through and have overcome, when you think back on the very thing that you feared, now that you've overcome or overcame it, that not that it wasn't so bad, because it's not to undermine the fact that you had this fear. I am no psychologist, I'm no psychiatrist, so I'm not here, to diagnose anyone. But the mere fact that, there's a fear there, I mean, that says something, right? And so I would want anyone, and I want to be very clear that I try not to make a lot of generalizations, but I'm pretty sure with this and that we can say that everyone at some point in life has feared something. I think if we put it that way, that's a blanket, truthful statement, right? And I try again to stay far away from generalizations and blanket statements, but y'all let me know. But I'm pretty sure that's pretty true, right? And so once you have overcome something, when you reflect on it, there's that word again, there's some self-reflection for you. That you realize like, oh man, so prime example. If I have a fear of heights, right? Fear heights forever. And whatever I've done, let's just fast forward to the fact that I've overcame the fear of heights, that when I look back now, I'm able to, fly, or I don't know, bungee jump, skydive. I was about to say whitewater rafting. That is not heights. What is it? Zip line? And that's what I'm looking for. Like, I'm able to do things. I'm able to experience different things, right? New experiences. And you're grateful for that. So then it's like, well, what else? What was I missing? What else was I missing? Right? It's to fuel your excitement, your curiosity. I will forever, forever, forever believe in my platforms, which is exposure and education, especially for our community. I think that just by far for me, like just goes beyond anything. When we get to talking about what will help us, right, is to educate ourselves, educate each other. And if you are experiencing or being exposed to a new experience, it is to pass that on, right? So that is, I will never get away from that. And so, like, as we overcome fears, that's exactly what we're supposed to do with it. Even if the very thing that we feared it is something that can actually be perceived positively. So that's why once we overcome something, and it's just like it's healing, right? It's healing and deliverance, right? When we talk about, like testimony Tuesdays, right? Or just, testimonial Sundays, whatever the case may be, for people to, talk about what happened, what the good Lord did for them, what he brought them through. And so it's to pass on that word. We know as believers, we're supposed to do what? Pass on, pass on and not to say preach, but pass on the great gospel, right? Let and inform, educate, and expose people, not based off our prejudices, but expose people in general of what we are, what we have experienced. So that's how that goes hand in hand. I guess it's really education, exposure, and experience are really my platforms, but I've always just said education and exposure, right? And so again, when you overcome a fear that you find out like, wow, okay, I was afraid of heights over here all this time, but child, y'all over here just skydiving and jumping and flying, and how y'all doing that? Like, what is going on? Like, how were you able to do this when I was over here all afraid, right? And so again, on the flip side of now that I said that I understand that my issue, I can say still now, like it still exists right now, not completely over this particular fear, but the fear in general of fearing success. And it doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean that you don't want or desire success. Yes, 3 E's. Thank you, Sierra. The 3 E's. I like that. That's good. I might use that one. I appreciate you. That, it doesn't mean that I don't desire, success. It doesn't mean that I don't want, that I don't feel as though that I need to be successful. It is just the mere fact of success. Like, what does it look like? So when you when you try to actually visualize what successful you looks like. So Benia, what does successful Benia look like to Benia? What does successful Sierra look like to Sierra? What does successful Chanel look like to Chanel? What does successful, Ben look like to successful to Ben, and so forth, to Shaniqua, to Shola, to Janelle, Kiara, Treasure, like everybody that's a Cameron, like different people that are tuned in. Thank you, by the way, all love. But what does your successful self look like to you? And it is in that process that I try to visualize that's where I experience that fear, that feeling of fear, right? It's like, whew. So promise, again, I don't have. So first of all, I just want y'all to know my father is crazy. I fear stepping on my grandbaby's toys and breaking my legs. You know what? That's actually a pretty good fear. Okay, I'm just saying, because I do it all the time, and I'm saying my ankles are built for tough. Y'all hear me? Strong. These little toys that sit around here, or the little ball from the ball pit. Ooh, y'all! Shout out to parents, especially to those with toddlers. I commend you. You're doing an excellent job. Whatever you think that you're doing wrong, I'm here to tell you you're doing great. Unless it's like CPS worthy, then you're not. And somebody should call CPS. But whatever. My point is, mothering a toddler, I don't know about fathering a toddler, child, but all I can speak to is mothering a toddler. And baby, that thing ain't easy. All these little toys and gadgets and oohs and ooh. So I hear you about stepping on toys and breaking legs. That is absolutely a valid fear to have. You probably want to keep that one in the back pocket. You don't even want to overcome that fear, child, because I'm afraid that I now fear for you that if you stop having that fear, that things gonna go left. And I'm saying right now, I'm not pushing around in a wheelchair. I'm not doing that. You better call one of your sons or one of your other daughters. I'm not doing that. That was a side conversation. Excuse me, y'all. So when you look to overcome fear, of like something like success, right? So I was able to give an example of all of my life, I have dreamt of, prayed for marriage, right? The first time I experienced the fear of marriage was my last relationship. We were dating. It was fine. I don't know why. I always remember things from where I was. So I was at church, of course. And I was at church, and I was texting my boyfriend. I think I was there early. Early, y'all. If y'all know me, That usually ain't my thing. Just want to put that out there. Early is usually not my thing. I'm working on it. Again, I'm a work in progress. So anywho, and so I was early because service hadn't started yet. So I remember I was texting, baby, I was texting a boyfriend, and he had said, boyfriend at that time, and he had said like something, something, something. I actually used to remember the conversation verbatim. It's so crazy. Whatever it said, something, something, something. I'm gonna marry you. Like and it, like it made it clear. Like it was like, and when I say it it puts a like pit feel, ooh, like the feeling that was in the core of my gut, baby. Nothing like it. I didn't feel that while I was pregnant and any other pains. Like that was like, ooh, like it felt like, all right, I ain't gonna be dramatic, but first I was gonna say it felt like this close to death, but it might be like that close. But you know what I mean? Like, hey, listen, Chris, what's up? So it's just like, the fear of something that I had dreamt of and prayed for so long. Why would I dare then all of a sudden that it's, right here in my hand almost, right? Like supposed to come, that it's because, marriage isn't something you can go and obtain other things, for yourself. So if you, aspire to buy a high-end brand bag, right? Or something of, a high designer of fashion designer that, you can go do that. You can go and obtain the career that, you desire. You can go and obtain, the materialistic things and just different things, right? That you have, someone have control over for yourself, through Christ, but moving on. But marriage is not one of those things. Now, given if there is somewhere, if somebody wants to correct me and let me know where there's somewhere where I can go marry myself, because I thought about it a lot, like a lot. Because I'm just saying, I'm the bomb. Like I don't know. Like it was so long. Like, and so it was crazy to me that here I am again, like sitting in church. Like it was so much to take in. The fact that I'm sitting in, my place, like this is my safe haven. This is my place where I come, for peace. Like if I need to, get out of my own home, like whatever, like this is where, I get filled, my spirit is fed. Just so this, I should really be. So this is the place to receive some information like that, isn't it? Right? Child. Nope. Like, nope. Okay. Not in that moment, baby. I'm talking about, I just sat there with this gut feeling. And lo and behold, y'all know what happens. What happens when something is going on and then you get to church? You know the sermon was about fear. You know it was. Y'all know it. Y'all already knew that. Y'all already knew that the preacher definitely got up. I believe it was my bishop. I don't know. It might have even been a guest speaker. I think that was like what, or like just one of the other pastors. Like, wait a minute. All right, now, spirit, now you ain't got to be telling on me like this, man. All right, you ain't got to talk to me straight like this. Like, who read my messages? Somebody was over me. Somebody read these and then whispered up there and told somebody to get to talking about something that I was, So it baffled me so heavily that I couldn't get over it. I was the word was so good, it spoke to me and it gave me a different perspective. Just about like fear, like don't fear the very things that are to come. Of course, driving home the fact that God didn't give us the spirit of fear. So of course, if you are experiencing fear, that is not from him, right? So we don't want to dwell on anything that's not from him. So I get that. Excuse me, I ain't want to burp out loud like that because I can be trifling sometimes. That's neither here nor there. Speaking of fears, one of my fears about finally settling down, child, and living with somebody again, child, is the fact that I can't be trifling and disgusting no more. Oh, have mercy. I had to take that one in for a second because it really gets to me. Like I just thought, and we're gonna do a side note because y'all know this to be mixed, so we can talk about anything and mix it all up and get right back on topic, right? So can we talk about this real quick? Are there any other, just by show of hands, like just you don't really have to put yourself up there if you don't want to, but I'd rather you do because I'm doing this. I'm doing it first. So are there any sleep farters out here? Like, is it just me? Am I the only one that farts in my sleep? Like a lot? Not a lot throughout the night, but like it's a consistent thing. Like it's I'm sure it's probably every time I'm asleep. Like as in like my night sleep, my naps. I'm not gonna say how many because y'all gonna mind your business. But anybody else? It's so bad, right? Speaking of that last relationship, I can never get over this one thing, right? So one time we sleep and so I farted, whatever. I fart, right? I'm not gonna say it's like a wet fart, right? But it's one of those that come out like, and when I tell y'all it was on that young man's knee, like I correct myself up, y'all, because it just still gets to me. Like it was one of those like that rippled out, like, and it was like, oh, and then it got that look at the end, right? And you like, so I jump up like, oh Lord, he gonna pop me. Like it's he gonna pop me. Now, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave it alone. But that was probably where I think I fell in love, right? Really, because the boy didn't move. And I know you felt that fault on your leg. I know you did. You a soldier. He was such a soldier for that and that alone. not in general. Thank you, Chris. You slept and you fought and slept your boots. Okay then. Not sure what the slap my boots means. If you want to expound and elaborate, that's fine. Oh, okay. So apparently my mother says fear has no brain or heart. That's good. So let's get back on topic because I'm glad I read that. Don't y'all judge me out here though, okay? I'm just keeping it real. I don't know what to tell y'all, but I just wanted to know. Like, so think at least I have one other person that admitted that they're a sleep farter. Like, that's the thing. So y'all want to talk about fears? Like I had so many, and then here and there I think of things that, I feared or thought of that brought me some anxiety, right? Y'all know I'm very passionate about, mental health. Like, you know, and mental, health and overall awareness, and overall wealth and well-being, rather. And so, like, there are things that now I feel like we have to work toward, overcoming the fears that we have. If y'all are listening right now, I'd rather you, jump in the comments, as you liking and sharing, of course, and or call and text 443-642-9403. That's our calling number here. It's BigExposedRadio.com. And let me know, again, what fears that either you had. Now we're at the place of where I want to hear about the fears that you have. If you are comfortable with sharing them, I hope that you are. So I'm really trying to create this space for you that you understand that, baby, I'm here to talk about my stuff, okay? Always here to talk about my stuffs, okay? Stuffs with an S, okay? And so that when we to work to get over these fears is because a lot of us talk about anxiety. A lot of us, I believe, are realizing, or I'll speak for myself, are recognizing the fact that I probably can honestly say that I've experienced anxiety my entire life, or for a very, very long time, not knowing. So that was the thing, like unknowingly, unbeknownst to me, child, I was anxious, like anxious about good things, but we know anxiety, right? We know y'all want to talk about a bullet that don't have no eyes. Anxiety, baby, ain't got no type of eyeball. And yes, I said ain't got. Sorry to all my English teachers, y'all know I know better, but I meant that I used that on purpose. Okay, like anxiety will choose, oh, this is something good that's about to happen. Like, okay, oh, this is something bad that happened. Oh my goodness. Wait for it. Like, just okay, anxiety. So you the most consistent man in my life. That's what you're saying. Like, you just gonna be right here on my shoulder blade. Okay, cool. So it is just not just, but the fact that that is on our agenda, right? So 2 weeks ago, we talked about, just our list of demands and things. So when we talk about our overall agenda as a people, as a community, especially, but for all people, I mean, I'll be honest, I am, because of just how we are as Black people, that we can be oppressed and still pray for our oppressor. Like that is just the type of amazing person and as a people, that we are. Like we are amazing because we can do that. We had that ability, obviously. I mean, we've lived through generations, right? We've survived generations doing just that. And so, and literally, learning how to survive, that being, one of them, one of our defense mechanisms. So it is merely the fact of that, as we self-reflect, as we work toward, a better us individually, then as a family unit, right? Then as a community, as a people, as a Black nation. Okay, y'all get my drift? It's imperative, right, for us to work to overcome the fears that we have. There are so many out here, and I ain't gonna be mad or nothing, but I'm gonna call y'all out because I don't mind y'all calling me out. That y'all ain't drop no fears, and that's fine. That could be your fear of, opening up, your fear of being so open. But I want you to understand that it really ain't all what it's cracked up to be. It is truthfully, and I'm saying this so truthfully, that it is much easier to open up about your fears than you think it is. I guarantee it. And y'all know, again, I'm very passionate about, again, mental health, overall, wellness. And so that is definitely on the long list of, things to address, right? Is opening up and freely expressing your inner thoughts. I've had quite a few conversations very recently just about mental health, or more so about seeking and professional help, right? Speaking to someone about your stuff, and that it's it's not for the person. I don't want. There are people out here that have gone through schooling and all in order to be able to sit either in that chair, across that desk, whatever the case may be, to be able to just to guide you to clear your stuff out. A lot of us, all of us really, have been carrying stuff for so long. So imagine how heavy your spirit is. Imagine how heavy your mind is. And sometimes we feel it. So I'll be honest that in days like this is a better day. This is a much better day than I've been having, like in some time, some weeks, right? Of just like, remember I told y'all, was it last week or 2 weeks ago that I told y'all I thought I was about to get fired? Update. I didn't get fired. Oh Lord, talk about a spirit and a heart of thanksgiving. Okay, I just want to thank God for the many blessings He's bestowed upon me. Amen. Like, woo, child, I thought I was out of there, baby. I hopped on that call. Let me tell you real quick. Hopped on that call. I said, listen, before you even. So I got to talking. And she's like, oh no, well, you go first. Good, thank you. Usually I'll be like, no, you. Now, girl, let me get this out. Listen, if you get on this call today to fire me, terminate me, I get it. You ain't supposed to be my friend, child. You're my executive director. You're my boss. I get it. Sis been slipping a little bit here and there. And it is just because, I don't know. Were we in retrograde or something? I don't know. I don't understand all of that. So I don't get to asking specific questions. But somebody school me and let me know what has been going on. Because I was like, the only thing I could compare it to, truthfully, was the fact that of like what do they call it? The pregnancy brain. And I know, of course, men, y'all would never be able to, you would never be able to experience it, obviously, or to understand it, for yourself. But honey, it is something I really feel like I've experienced all my life. So I don't know what that is. It's that little piece of brain in there that just don't. Y'all know the episode of SpongeBob? Just to give you all a piece of how my brain works. Y'all know the episode of SpongeBob that he was learning how fine dining, that episode. If not, after this, after we conclude tonight, please go YouTube that, right? So fine dining, and he's learning that or whatever to impress somebody, Squiggles or something, and one of Squiggles' homeboys or arch nemesis. And child, it's the people in his brain. So it's the little SpongeBobs that are like going through file cabinets and they're burning everything because he's like, I gotta erase everything out of my mind. I really think that that's how brains work. I'll be honest with you. I didn't go through school. I had, yeah, I got a little high school diploma, Western High School, only the best, y'all know. Morgan State University, a degree from there. Go Bears. Like, first of all, let's pause for a second. Literally just saw as I was just about to start the show. So sad to hear about the student athletes that have tested positive for COVID-19. Lord have mercy. Oof. It, can we just shut the world down? We'll get there. We'll get there. But just because I shouted out my alma mater, child, I had to say something about that. That is so horrendous to me. And so now it's like, oh, practices and workouts are canceled. Yeah, they should be. Like at any type of gathering. Like, ooh, I digress. So, but yeah, that is how I think brains work, right? So my brain, it's different little things. My little people going in, my little Benias going in looking for stuff, and I don't know. It's like the the department that houses or just runs that piece of my brain. It just can't get right. Shout out to the movie Life. Can't get right sometimes is what I call it when I'm in that mind space. And that's what was going on. Like, so that impacted and affected me at work. Working from home and all of that. But during COVID, I mean, just so many things, right? Let's get into some comments and then I'm gonna get back to my point. Okay. So my mother and father are hilarious, by the way, Daddy. I'm definitely speaking of the comment because he's talking about my mother. She told him a comment, he put it, and then she forgot. See what I mean? I get it honestly. My father always says my mother is simple. So my simple-mindedness, child. I think I get that from my maternal blood. Amen. Okay. So Chris, thank you for sharing your fear. Biggest fear is failure. I absolutely. When you get a chance, like as when we close out the show tonight, please rewatch just the very beginning that you might have missed in the very beginning, where I talked about that I also had the fear of failure. So I completely understand that, especially as a Black man in America, that part I cannot speak to, but I want to tell you as a Black woman in America, and that you feel as though you have to make it. I completely hear that part, but I just want to say that because of the fact that I cannot speak from being a Black man in America with a fear of failure and a need to make it, I just want to tell you that I acknowledge you. I acknowledge that. I hear that loud and clear. I love you for it, and I truly pray and hope and wish for, that the anxiety of that to be released from you. I do. But I also simultaneously hope, wish, and pray for your success, for your individual success, for your success and contribution. And, as far as you being an asset to the community, to your family first, to yourself, to God, to yourself, to your family, to the community, to the movement. For the culture. Absolutely respect that fear of yours. And I, again, pray that the fear of it is lifted. And just, we're going to get back to that in a second, right? And so Chris continues on to say that there's pressure from everywhere to make it in other people's eyes, family, friends, professionally, spiritually, financially, etc. And again, I acknowledge that, and I salute you, Black King. I salute you, and I honor you for that, because I could only imagine. And I will never. I try not to compare, right? So, have you ever? Has anyone ever been? I'm sorry, I'm chuckling. It's because it's so many different thoughts come to mind, or conversations rather. That have you ever found yourself in a conversation that you're sharing either your story or a retold story of someone, and someone else comes in and it's either implied because they feel as though they have to it's theirs has to be better or worse, or in some way, shape, or form they're comparing and contrasting. Like, this is not a Venn diagram. What do we do? Girl, back up. My story is my story, and yourn is yourn. Yeah, I said yourn. That's YOURWN. 2 N's if you want to be fancy. Yourn. Gone. Somewhere. Get. Now. I got time. Now. My story is my story. My experience is my experience. Even if we as two individuals were at, experiencing the same or being exposed to the same thing at the same time. Two totally different experiences. Just saying. Everybody keep that in mind. As many people as you see gathered together and experiencing, or being exposed to one particular, scenario, situation, tragedy, accomplishment, whatever the case may be, each of those people is the same amount of each individual experiences, and reflections from that. So keep that in mind, that whatever you experience during the same time as someone else, and it doesn't matter who that person is, it could be friend or foe, it could be family, it could be someone you aspire to be, someone that inspires you, someone that motivates you, they still will come out with a different experience than you did. It can be similar. Be very clear about that. Experiences can, be similar and reflect, but and even be parallel, but it does not mean that they're the same. Why? Because each of us are individuals, right? And so just keep that in mind. I had to say that. And so that's a good. Some old sayings I have to throw off. So again, my father says old school saying, nothing beats a failure but a try. And I get that. We also know that there's another saying out here that says, I rather, or they're usually talking about love, but I was about to say I'd rather try than if not, but I'd rather have loved and lost. Y'all know I'm bad at quoting stuff, so help me. But I'd rather have, loved and failed than not to have loved at all, I believe is how it goes. I'm sure it sounds prettier than how I just said it, but y'all get it, right? And so it's still the same thing. So I get that, just to try. And so that is more of the reason why, back to the matter at hand, that we have to, and I mean have to, like that. We are beyond the days of thinking about, for lack of a better word, we are beyond the days of just trying. You have to do. We are being called to do right now. And that is why I had to open up to talk to y'all about my failure of success. Failure of success comes in many different forms. I mean, it could truthfully be, I'll be honest, at some point of another, I qualified and received and truly depended on food stamps. Okay. Right. So hear me, follow me. So then it gets to the point where I no longer qualify whatsoever. Because God knows, even during COVID-19, sis apply. Okay. And before I heard of anybody that received theirs, before they even got the yes letter or the yes in on the card or whatever, child, I got the no, like the big old no. Like, hell no, girl, we're not giving you nothing. So okay, my bad. Sorry. I think they sent me a video in my email to show me that they ripped up my application. Like, I feel like that's how harsh the no was. Like, they were not playing with me, right? But either way, so transitioning from being dependent on to not, right? So think of so many people that, are still and that have depended on, welfare, right? And don't really get me to talking into, if y'all reflect and flashback to my very first show, um shout out to the gifted priest, right? We talked about that and just how, it's really supposed to be for us anyway, but we can definitely get into that and comb through that, during another show. But child, it is the fact that it's that transition piece. So now it's like I'm left out here to fend for myself. Okay. Ooh, like we joke about, ooh, child, I'm going to the stove to pay cash for all these groceries now to feed this baby. Like, forget me, child, I got to feed this child, because apparently while they're not at school, they eat multiple times a day. What is that? I don't even. So you eat more than once a day, is what you're saying, and like more than one meal in addition to multiple snacks. What is that? Like, and then as the parent, I have to make sure that it's healthy. Like, it's not just all junk. Got it. Of course, that's all you're asking for. That's all you're requesting. Well, no, not necessarily. I ain't gonna lie. For whatever reason, some of my favorite, not whatever reason, but some of my favorite things to eat, right, have always been like healthy things. I can't tell y'all while I'm thick. I've just always been thick, child. I'm gonna still get rid of this double chin at some point. There you go. There you go. It's gone. Y'all say bye-bye to double. Okay, that's her name, double. Double B is her name. Yes, I named my double chin, so get over it. Um, and so it's the fact of, like, so I have obviously on this child that's dependent upon me. Like, I have to, keep us fed. I have to do this. Have there been days that, I think those when I did not qualify. I don't know. It's been so long, but that, I have found myself at, what do they call them? Not food shelters, food lines, food, right? Like, kitchens. There we go. Food kitchens. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. Which I guess in a sense I'm thanking God for that I can't even, recall it, because obviously it's, been some time. So I am truly grateful. But still, right? I was at that place at some point, and anybody in my closest circle wouldn't even have known that I went there and regulated, one in particular, that this woman was so nasty. I think she was in the church, or she was associated with the church or something. I think her name was actually just Miss Bishop, and I think I mixed it up, but it was, long story short, it was an apartment that I had, and it was in the back of that, off of like St. Paul. That's my hood, y'all. I told her that. Whoop, whoop. Um, and an apartment that I had, so it was like the back alley of it in that area. If you're not familiar with that area lives off of alleys, right? And so out back, one day, I think actually my boyfriend at the time, he was out back and just called for me or whatever. But the gentleman that was helping her, and he was, somebody, probably, how they get the workers that, to try to keep off the street, right? So he was helping like unload, I guess, the trucks or whatever, and bring everything inside. And so they had a conversation. So here I come, and yada yada yada. And he's like, "Oh, y'all want this? I can give y'all this and all that." And so that was the initial contact, right? So we're not knowing that it's not a soup kitchen. It is not coming to me of what this is called. And so long story short, then this lady comes out and is so terribly nasty, like, just to me. And I am at this very vulnerable state because I am trying to, feed us. Now, let's not get into the fact that I got this boyfriend. Okay, but I got this baby. Okay, I'm trying. She got to eat. Okay, so it is just like God has brought me a mighty long way. Like, more of the story. Okay, and so it is working through the transition of, where we find ourselves in life. So that is, and if anyone has any other, part to add to it, but that is, when I hear the phrase respect the process, that is the sole definition of it. Like, baby, you can find yourself in any, in any part in life, right? That in any place, in any down, in any valley, or any mountaintop, throughout the duration of your lifetime, and you have to respect that. And so it is respecting it, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you like it. So truly, I never liked when I, qualified and, received, and truly at some point was dependent on, like food stamps. I loathe, I didn't just hate, I loathed having to go to the social services office. Hated it every time. But you can never tell. I was very pleasant, very respectful, very, tunnel vision, business minded. Like, I'm getting in here and I'm getting out. Like, that's it. I never once, I never wanted Sydney to experience it. And she was very young, like infant, right? Still, never took her in. I think it was only one time I had to, I think for them or something. I can't remember, but that I had to take her in, right? And I never, I think it was probably that one and only time. And so it's the transition of, like what I'm used to, what, what helps me, what help or assistance I receive. And for different people, of course, that differs and that varies. So it could just be the help of your family, help of friends, help of strangers, colleagues, whomever, right? Wherever you receive your assistance, that is not yourself and is not God, right? Like, and let me take that back, because God actually uses different people in different ways to bless you. So let me take that out. But like there's still a difference, right? Of when you depend on someone else to do for you. We have to get to a place of redefining different words, right? Or various words. So when we think of help, if you ask me to help you, that means that I'm doing just that, assisting you to, obtain whatever the objective is. So if it is to help you with an application, it is not for me to hold the pen. It is not for me to write on the piece of paper. It is, truthfully, it's not necessarily for me to read the prompt for you to complete, right? It is for you to read the prompt, for you to make sense of it, and to bounce off of it. If you have a question, hey, what do you think they mean here? Or what's the better way I should word this, right? How do you think I can best, convey what I'm trying to say, for this particular, portion, of the application, right? Like that's help. So we have to get to that, right? And so when I'm talking about like just the help that I receive, it is a place where it is so hard to fathom, not receiving that help, not depending, especially if you were dependent on the help and the assistance, and then to see yourself out of that place, that middle place, that middle ground, that transitional space is it's indescribable, to be honest. It is such a place of I gotta get it, I gotta make it. So then it then we, I don't know, lean back on our fears. If we talk about fear of failure, like Chris talked about, right? And then he shared that, it's the mindset of I have to make it. Which we talked about also can bring up some anxiety. So, to everything in moderation, but to use that and to flip that in a positive way to work for you. So, okay, I used to be dependent, and again, I'm speaking on myself. So if I'm in this transitional space of I used to be dependent on, food stamps and all of that. Okay. That was the only way I could feed myself, my baby, my family. Okay. And now I am not. Now, I no longer qualify. Okay, cool. I have to get to that place, right? It is using that fear of failure that I, used to have to get me to the place of not depending on the help and the assistance that I used to, if that makes sense, right? Y'all let me know if that makes sense. Y'all comment, share, like, call in and text 443-642-9403. Let me know if I'm making any sense tonight. And if I'm not, let me know that too. Let's be very clear. I'll probably add that in my whole intro. This is a place. So if it is for criticism, make sure it's on me. I don't want y'all fighting and yelling and beefing all in the comments. But I'm absolutely, you can correct me. Feel free. Like this is a conversation piece, right? This is just us sitting down and talking. Okay. But it is that very fear. And so when I was talking about earlier of that I used to have the fear of failure, and now it is more so of the fear of success. That to me, that it makes me think back to that of where I was afraid to, honestly afraid to be at a place or to get to a place, only because I was within, at that moment, I was in the unknown, right? So I didn't know and couldn't even see like there's going to be a time where I don't depend on this and I'm just going to the market and can pick up anything I want. It doesn't have to be, government cheese. It don't have to be, the child, they even upgrade it a little bit. So it's by craft, but it's the cheese. Like if you get slices, child, I know. So if you get the slices, it's not the individually wrapped slice. So, it's lack of convenience. Like, child, at some point I can go to the market and I can get me something that's not on us. You lying to me, like, I'm feeling fancy at the thought of it, but it scared me, right? I'll be honest. I'll be so honest. I remember opening up to who's my old executive director, an old boss, but a sister and a friend. Love, love, love dearly. Definitely wishing you a continued speedy and peaceful and comforting recovery from surgery, y'all. Don't get thinking nothing crazy. I don't know what y'all think. But love, 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 right? And so, but I remember talking to her and she was just like, yeah, like you have to get to a place of being okay with the fact that, you don't depend on this anymore. Like that you use your own money, right? And again, that's just one prime example of what I can think of as to where I was fearful of success. And of course, success includes of, not being dependent on anything that someone can easily snatch from you. I think that's to me as and again, maybe at each week we'll, get to defining, just one word that we all use, within our community so that we were all very clear. So, and we'll start that, in some time, not, not today. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not even prepared for that. I just give y'all what I feel, right? And so success for me includes that. Am I shunning or looking down upon? I do not look down my nose at no one. Like maybe that's why I wear glasses. I don't know. Like I can't even. My nose is big enough. I think he's listening, so I don't want to say it too loud. But I get my big nose from my dad, right? And so I still, as big as it is, looking down, I can't look down at anyone. Like it's just not a thing that I don't even feel like I'm capable of doing. Um, and so it doesn't mean that I am, judging anyone. Y'all know what I always say, the least judgmental person in the world. But it just means that, a part of success is to get to that place, right? Of where we're just not dependent on, and I said anything that somebody could easily snatch from you. If you got it locked and loaded and you got it for life and it will never leave your hands, then baby, that's a part of your success. It's not by that definition, right? So just saying. So when we talk about fear of success, here I am that I am embarking on a new level of my spiritual journey. And truthfully, that there's some fear there, and I'm trying to find another word, right? It'll probably be after I finish this show that it'll come to me. But all day I've been trying to find another word that describes what that fear. So again, because God did not give us the spirit of fear, so it's not from Him. So I can't even dwell on the thing. Oh, I'm so afraid. Oh, so that's another key piece to take away. That be sure that we do not dwell on any of the fears that we have. I am respecting and acknowledging that you, as an individual, have some things that frighten you, right? That you are fearful of, but you are, remember, and please be reminded, here's your B tip of the week, that means that you are granting and giving power to that very thing that you're afraid of. So then who's more powerful, right? So this is what I fear. If I fear my left hand, um, if my right hand fears my left hand, right, that means that I'm giving power to my left hand. So wouldn't I want to keep the power in my right hand since I'm not fearful of my right hand, right? So think of that. Like think of how that goes. Apprehension. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. I love words. So I absolutely love when anyone can, like help me put something into perspective, right? So apprehension. And so being apprehensive and I almost I thought of that word too, truthfully, but to me that still gives like, oh, there's some resistance. Like I am the person that I truly believe in this, and I don't know, I might copyright this phrase at some point, but I believe in proving your faith by pushing through your fears. Like that is something for me. So that's really your B tip of the week. Like as you go forth, as you prepare for bed tonight, and until we all meet again next week, right here on BeExposedRadio.com, Thursday at 8:00 p.m. Love you too, Sean. That we that's just what we have to do. I don't even know the other way to put it, to be honest. That we have to, prove our faith through pushing, or by pushing through our fear, right? So I believe that as humans, things come up that we're like, oh, right? I mentioned that all my life have I dreamt and prayed about and prayed for, marriage, and that hasn't happened yet, but that it's just that, right? It is just proving our faith, right? The faith in, the one true living God, and whomever, whoever else you believe in. Oh, thanks, Sean. Don't hype me. Stop. Don't gas me up. So, like it's just that though. Like it is proving that we truly believe. And even if your belief is in yourself, then prove to yourself, right? Prove to, who you believe that you need to prove to. For me, as a believer, I know that I have to prove myself to God every day, all day, even in my failure. It's like, oh, okay, Lord, let me get this back in order, baby, because I am so sorry. I just failed you just now, right? And so it's proving my faith every day, even through my fear. So that's why I said I didn't necessarily even want to use a word like apprehension, because I'm not even apprehensive. So as I embark on this new level of my spiritual journey, that I'm not apprehensive. I'm not telling God that it's like, oh, I don't know, because I've done that long enough. I have said no to God too much for too long about too many things. And sometimes unknowingly, right? I guess, I don't know, too deep in sin, whatever the case may be, and just not knowing that I'm saying no, being so controlling. That's a big deal for me to admit. But I was controlling. Lord have mercy. We're gonna get into that one day, baby. Y'all don't even know. And so it was just the fact of that I need to show God that, I am truthfully, right? If I again, I'm transparent. So God, this is some of my prayers. God will tell you, baby, if you get to talk to me on telling y'all and spilling the tea. That is one thing. Can y'all imagine if God spilled tea? Baby, I'm so grateful that he keeps my prayers private. Okay, that he keeps them to himself, because if the book was ever to fall out of heaven and somebody read the Benia chapter, honey, one, y'all would probably laugh at the things that I throw up there to God, because I literally talk to him about everything. It's ridiculous. But I'm sure things that people wouldn't believe that I talk to him about. Trust me. Because I told y'all I get on his nerves. If no one else gets on his nerves, it's me. And so that, I just had to prove that, God, I am fearful, right? I have a little bit of fear. And I try to like measure it when I talk to him, like, well, it's just a little bit. I know I'm not supposed to have any, but I got just a little bit. And it's to show him like I'm fearful, but I'm still going though. I'm still pressing. I'm still going to embark on this journey. I'm still going to do, what comes to me that says that I need to do this. When I hear from you, Lord, or when I see these things, like, and how I'm supposed to maneuver, and what I'm supposed to put down and stop and, turn away and turn down, I'll do it. Even though I'm fearful of this journey, because I don't know what it looks like, because I have said that the very things that fear me now are like, what did I say earlier? I said, oh, it fears me in a good way. So that's what I'm really looking for. Like, okay, exactly, Sean. Thank you, Lord, for keeping my prayers private. Amen. Because I'm telling y'all worried about people, like either other church folk or friends or family, that you have shared, some things with. But no, baby, no. It wouldn't be no betrayal like the one if God was to go ahead and just let y'all know and just give y'all a taste of some things that I have brought to him. Woo, God. Especially if he tell y'all like my reaction, like things. Oh, she was crying when she said this prayer. Ooh, child. She was pleading the blood of Jesus when she said this one, honey. Ooh, child. Absolutely. There's a degree of skepticism. Okay. Now that's, and see, I've tried to get away from using that word, but that is true for me. I think I still am, honestly. I've always been like the world's biggest skeptic. Like I'm skeptical about everything. Like I'm trying. My trust is not in any, and we talked about this. I don't know if it was the first show or second show, but we've talked about this in the past few weeks, right? Of saying that I don't have trust in things, but truthfully, just initially, that's always my issue. I don't have initial trust. See why we have to, get together and come together as a community, as a people, and define certain words, or make sure that we, instead of placing so much power in, just one word, we kind of broaden them into like phrases so that we were clear and that we're very precise on what we mean. So as from whichever show that was that we talked about, talking about that I don't have trust and trust issues and this and the third, that I've even tried to get better at what I say that I don't trust, right? Because I'll be like, I don't trust that. But it's like, let me back up a taste. Let me self-reflect. Come on, y'all. Do your homework. Come on, y'all. We gotta put it into motion. The things that we've talked about over the past few weeks that, as I self-reflect, I try to make sure that I catch myself like, Benia, don't you dare. Don't you just say that you don't trust that. Don't you even tell yourself. Because what's very important is your inner self, your inner talks to your inner self. I'll say that, right? And that's before it comes out to manifest. So I believe in even I'm manifesting what I even think, right? Because God is, he's you can sin by thought. So if I can sin by thought, Lord have mercy, I can absolutely be detrimental, to my way of thinking. I still love, some people I know they hate it, but I love that my bishop says stinking thinking. It's so funny. First of all, I love rhyming words. I'm childish. but it's perfect, right? So like just it can be detrimental and contribute to your stinking thinking. And remember, again, last week we definitely talked about, what you contribute. Are you contributing? Your contribution, is it positive? Or can it be perceived as positive? Or can it be perceived as negative? And so it's, catching yourself there to even say, like I said, I've said like I don't trust this, or being skeptical, that it's actually that I don't have initial trust, that something has to prove itself worthy of my trust. And that's, I'm not just saying this because of myself, but that's a healthy place to be, at least as far as, trust is concerned. And so about when we talk about fear of success, which is, I know, is a very, unpopular opinion or uncommon phrase or term. But that's okay. That's absolutely okay. That is not common. I wouldn't want it to be. I keep telling you anything that I've experienced. I would never want. I hate to hear that someone else has experienced it, because it's like, no, just let me go through it and then I'll share it and then you learn from me, so that way you don't have to go through that hurt and pain, right? But God knows all things, and He knows what people need to go through in order to get it. So He definitely knew He had to bring me through, baby, because apparently, as much as I want to say I'm a fast learner, not at all. So yeah. And about like fear of success, that I have to turn it again, because when we talk about reconditioning our thoughts, reconditioning our minds. And so that way I don't feel like it's okay to stay in a place of, dwelling on my fears. So again, to my believers, whether you are veteran believers, interested believers right now, or potential believers, to come on, come one, come all, the more the merrier. Amen. But it is a place of the fact of still maintaining the fact that we are taught and we are to believe that, God did not give us the spirit of fear. So when we experience a fear, that is to help us to, brush that off, or to work through that, rather not brush it off, but to work through the fear in order to overcome it, because it did not come from Christ. So to start there, because remember, our point and my sole purpose, especially with this show, is to talk about the fact, and just in our daily conversations and interactions, especially within the community, and as a people, that we have to get into the myth. Like, we hear these statements of, oh, you need to do this. Oh, don't dwell on the fear. Just don't. No, it's easier said than done. Like, you have to tell me. You have to help me in between the lines. Help me there, because I can't just assumingly read between the lines. That's just not me. If it's not there, I'm not reading. Now, they want to talk about us as a people. Oh, Black people don't read. But no, it's just that if it's not there, I'm not reading. And, some of what is there, I'm not reading too, because it's long. But neither here nor there. So help me. Okay? Help me. Okay? And so it's the mere fact of, a small piece that you can do to help to build a habit is not to allow yourself to dwell on, when a fear either comes up, when you're reminded of your fear, when your fear is triggered, even if it's a past fear that you've overcome or that you've suppressed and not necessarily, been delivered from, that you will, again, like turn it into positive. So again, that I've said that even more recently, because last week, I don't know if y'all caught it, but I did, mention these two words together, my man. And so anyway, so with that I now know, truthfully, I don't know when, right? I don't know how soon, or how far away, but, I know at some point I'm very certain in my spirit that, marriage is on the horizon. I don't know, y'all. And y'all know I'm going my husband go to death. Y'all know that. But to death do us part. Okay, I'm gonna my husband go to death. Y'all see, now I'm already practicing to be a lefty. Like, I'm a righty, but baby, I'm gonna turn into a lefty, honey bunny. Okay, but that I have a fear of it now, and I fear it in a good way. I fear it because I know that anything that I fear, it's because it's it's not too big, but so big. So it's a God idea. It's a God plan. It's a divine, purposed, a predestined, right? Part of my life, that is to come that I just haven't seen. I'll be truthful that, I really think I'll get into this. I think we're going to talk about dating in a moment too. But I'm but that, I have this fear of marriage only because like I don't have a good example of it. Like nothing I can like think of off the top of my head, right? And I don't mean like TV, I mean like realistic, right? I don't have like at my fingertips, right? I have something I can, examples that I can look on to, but I mean like right here, like just right up in here. I don't know what that means, but that's the best way I can describe that. Right up in here of how to, like an example of it, right? And so it is like I have a fear of it because truthfully, it's just like way back in the day that they used, like read the maps or whatever, the maps were flat, so they thought the world was flat. So they thought you get to the certain part, baby, you just gonna fall off the face of the earth. And for me, as much as so again, why you have to watch your anxiety, because anxiety is just like my dad he raised us and taught us to, if I learned nothing else from him, I learned that you can't think when you're mad. So it's just, so that meaning that if your mind is clouded, y'all take that how you want it. Your mind is not clear. So that your mind is clouded, that you're unable to see clearly. I mean, right, that makes sense when you say it all out. And so when you put it into perspective, though, it's that all my life, again, earlier I said that I've experienced anxiety all my life. I've also simultaneously prayed, and dreamt of marriage all my life. And so even though I was dreaming of it, obviously I wasn't able to see beyond it. I just saw up until that day. Not necessarily that I was one of those people that only dreamt of the wedding day, but I dreamt of being married because I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I'm excited, about what all marriage, has to come, and I'm not even aware of it yet, obviously, because I haven't experienced it. But it is the fact that for me, I had to realize that as much as I've wanted it, and desired it and dreamt of it and prayed about it and prayed for my future husband, that I was just like, them looking at the map. It was like, okay, you get to marriage and you just fall off the face of the earth. Like, I can't see beyond that. So now that it is, somewhere in a close grasp, in a, in arm's reach, I guess that it's like, okay, I guess apprehensive or, just fearful, minorly fearful of it because I just can't see beyond it. But it now tells me, and as I've grown closer to God and just in my, faith and spiritually, that it's like, okay, so this just tells me like I have to stay close with God. So for him to guide me. So that way I don't mess up. So that way I'm not the one that ruins my marriage before it becomes a thing, that because before it even manifests. Like I have to stay there. I have to, the job that, he has blessed me with, the business that I have recently formed, my first business. Told y'all that. I officially received my paperwork. Sis got an EIN number. Like, go ahead somewhere, y'all. Y'all just be leaving me unsupervised and just be letting me do whatever I want to do. And here I am. Right. And so that with that fear of success, I internally tune it into a positive thing. So that being said, that is what you are. That is your takeaway. That is your directive. That is your homework. That you reflect on any fear that you have. And again, past fear, current fear, a fear that you smell on the horizon, and you you fuel it. You fuel it positively, right? So before we get out of here, I definitely want to look at Sean's last comment. So having initial skepticism is okay. Thank you for that. Try the spirit by the spirit and see if it be of God. Okay, come on here, Sean. That's good. And be not confirmed that come on here with scripture. Be not confirmed, but be ye transformed by the renewing of our minds. Is that not a good way to just end the day? Like, is that not good? The renewal of minds is what God will do for you. He will renew your mind. And if, let me say this again, my heart to anyone that is, or that has or is experiencing, grief and mourning at the loss of anyone during this time. My heart truly, and I mean truly, goes out to you. Um, I've honestly just experienced funeralized someone this week, myself. So my heart goes out to you. But I still, and I hate to say but right there, but I still see this time as the time of the fact that God is using this time for everyone to renewal of minds, hearts, spirits, bodies, souls. With that being said, y'all know I love you with the love of Christ. Agape love all the way. This has been another week and another episode of the B Mix right here on beexposedradio.com. Thank you for watching, listening, and tuning in, sharing, liking, commenting, calling in, texting, all of the above and more. I love you. Do not forget to self reflect on your way to bed. Until next week,